All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. It is a great day in Raider Nation. Officially signed Marcus Peters. Not only is he a three-time Pro Bowler, but he brings this swagger and this certain demeanor to the Las Vegas Raiders, who desperately could use it. We all are aware the Raiders defense last season was extremely lackluster, specifically the secondary, and Marcus Peters comes in day one starter. This is just a great veteran signing. But I have this weird gut feeling that the Raiders defense this upcoming season is not going to be as bad as some are projecting. A lot of NFL analysts, people in the NFL media world, they're looking at this Raiders team and they're like, okay, there's a lot of money on the offensive side. You have technically last year the best running back in the National Football League in Josh Jacobs, and you have the best wide receiver in the National Football League in Davante Adams. You have a very enticing draft pick in Michael Mayer. You also have just really talented, solid, role-esque, depth-esque pieces. Guys like Hunter Renfrow in the slot. Interesting piece in Trey Tucker, new addition in the draft. You have Jimmy G. So the offense, it's not concerning, okay? Like the Raiders, Jimmy G, thoughts on what, no matter your opinions on Jimmy G can lead you to the playoffs, okay? Maybe you can sit here and debate, is he a Super Bowl quarterback? I think, yeah. We've seen it before, actually, but the offense I have no concerns with. In fact, I think the offensive line is being severely underrated across the entire NFL right now. The Raiders' offense will be in the probably top half of statistics next season. I don't see a world where they would be worse than 16th in the NFL. Defensively, we all saw with our own two eyes how bad it was last season, but their draft picks have me thinking that possibly there's something we're not grasping. Year two under a new defensive coordinator in Patrick Graham, so you're going to see improvements regardless. Tyree Wilson to fill out the other edge with Max Crosby. Also, you still have Chandler Jones. The defensive line to me is pretty talented. It's a pretty solid defensive line, and the edges are an extremely good edge group. All right, so I don't have concerns with the defensive line. The linebacker unit's really interesting to me, and so is the secondary because, first pick, defensive end, second pick, tight end, third pick, defensive tackle, right? So 2 out of your first 3 draft picks were defensive line. Your fourth pick, Trey Tucker, wide receiver. The 5th pick in the 4th round was Jacorian Bennett, cornerback out of Maryland. Very excited, very intrigued by Jacorian Bennett. However, day one starter, probably not. And if he was, it'd probably be not what you would want to see for like the consistency for a rookie drafted in the 4th round. It's not going to be Marcus Peters level, right? Before we get any further into today's video, if you guys enjoy it, be sure to hit that like button, hit that sub button. I post daily Raiders content, so you've come to the right place. We're trying to hit 10,000 subscribers by the start of the regular season, so a like goes a really long way, and obviously subscribe if you haven't already. All right. Now, towards the end of the draft in the 5th and 6th round, 2 really nice pieces, in my opinion. Safety Christopher Smith out of Georgia, and then Amari Burney out of Florida. And the reason Amari Burney is so interesting to me is because I watched him play. My buddy is a huge Florida Gamecock fan. Huge fan. I went to a game of theirs last season against South Carolina, watched a ton of Florida football. Amari Burney's a stud. This dude is a literal stud. I'm shocked he was, I guess it's maybe not all that shocking. I'm surprised he fell all the way to the 6th round. The reason I bring it up is when we look at the linebacker unit, or I read Twitter, or I look at comments on my YouTube videos, everybody is concerned about the linebacker unit. You guys know, my stud, my superstar stud, Double D. I love Double D so much. Divine Diablo, a healthy Double D there's not much better things on the planet, right? Divine Diablo is a star linebacker in the NFL. Last season, he had 74 total tackles. The catch is he played 8 games. This is a former safety converted linebacker. He's a freak athlete, all right? If you're noticing the reoccurring theme on the defense, they have athletes. There's a bunch of athletes on this defensive side. But when we look at the rest of the linebacker unit, it's so underwhelming. It's actually crazy. Robert Spillane, Raiders fans, not too big on him. Luke Masterson, it's solid, but it's not the craziest linebacker unit. In fact, it's like I said, a very underwhelming linebacker unit. So I do have some flaws. I do have some concerns with the linebackers. However, hopefully with the scheme, hopefully with the talent, that it is at least adequate, or at worst slightly below average. Kind of optimistic thinking there. The cornerback and secondary unit in general, I don't think is as bad as some people may think. Nate Hobbs is a really good cornerback in the league who's kind of just been itching to get an opportunity, which we saw last season. But the other side was like, all right, who's going to play? Who's cornerback two, right? Is it, I mean, before Marcus, obviously now it's Marcus Peters. Is it new addition Duke Shelley from Minnesota, who had a great season last year? He's extremely underrated. Ask any Vikings fan. They are pissed off that they lost Duke Shelley. You know, is it he? Are you going to go with the rookie Jacorian Bennett? You know, who are you going with CB2? Huge flaw. The addition of Marcus Peters, obviously for the who he is on the field. 3-time Pro Bowler. I know he had a down year last year, but keep in mind, it was his first year under the defense coordinator for Baltimore, right? So just kind of a new scheme. And you're coming off a torn ACL. That cannot be fun. It just can't be fun. This next year, regardless of if he was on the Raiders or not, he was going to have a bounce back season. But just his veteran presence in the locker room, something we mentioned early on in the video, just like that swagger, that demeanor, that grit that he possesses, I think is great to have not only on the Raiders defense in general, but specifically a group, the DB group, the cornerback group, which is extremely young. You know, there's stars like Nate Hobbs. There's guys who can really feed off of Marcus Peters and everything he provides off of the field, let alone on the field, because the dude's a stud. Like I said, 3-time Pro Bowler, former first round pick in the 2015 NFL draft. So it's not like he's crazy old, but he's definitely not young. So A+ signing to me. You know, this is something us Raiders fans have been talking about all summer, it felt like, especially when, you know, it was kind of like, all right, Rockyason, you know, Everett, are we re-signing these guys? Are they going to be back with the Raiders? You know, if they're not, which it's looking like they're not, let's go out, let's sign a veteran while we can. Thankfully, it's July 24th, and it took all this time for Marcus Peters to be signed. So perfect timing with training camp beginning. And yeah, man, it's going to be a really fun next couple of weeks because we're back in camp, training camp begins. And what's like the first preseason game, the Hall of Fame game, was that August 10th? I mean, that's like 2 weeks away. So we're right there, man. We're a couple months away from regular season football, but I think we're all dying to get some live Raider action going, which we've got going. So exciting time. It was a long off season, but it was a fun time, and I'm excited, man. I'm cautiously optimistic about the Raiders as a whole next season. And as I dive deeper into it, I'm getting more and more excited about that defense, man. I don't know what it is, but Marcus Peters is going to go a long way. So let me know what you guys are thinking about the signing of Marcus Peters, but mainly just the Raiders defense in general. As always, hit that like button, hit that sub button for Raiders content. My name's Jackson, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.